Rightio, welcome back to the Williams Real Estate channel. Today we're discussing the Victorian laws, rental laws, and how that will impact the market, how I'm seeing it impact the market. And every property has a specific buyer. We'll discuss that today. So to kick it off, the rental laws. In Victoria, they are clamping down on rental regulations, and they consist of the main ones. I mean, you can look it up online, but the main ones is it has to be in a livable standard, so decent paint, flooring, finishes, can't be complete houser and grubby, which is fair enough. Heating and cooling, so this can be like a split system, air conditioning system, which is $3 or $4 grand for a split system to be supplied and installed in like the living area of say a 1 or 2 bedroom flat or a 3 bedroom house. Ventilation in the kitchen and bathroom, so they want to ventilate the kitchen, so you find those small vents that can be installed onto the window or through the masonry brickwork. Same goes for in the bathroom, and new switchboards. That's pretty much it. So to get a 1 or 2 bedroom flat or a 3 bedroom basic home up to rental code, I'm seeing anywhere between 5 to 10,000 to get it up to rental code. By the time, if it doesn't have anything, paint, flooring, whacking a AC unit, split system, put in a little heater, upgrade the switchboard. So this is capital improvements. Ironically, what the government's doing is they're looking to make sure that obviously it's a nice livable state, but this is stuff that I suggest to my clients, and I do it anyway, is capital improvements. It's basically overdue maintenance. It's not major renovation work, so it allows you to attract a better tenant, which pays higher rent. That higher rent gets capitalized into a higher price, so then it allows you to go back to the bank and refinance, draw the equity out to roll into the next deal. So I think it's good, it's a positive, but it's ironic that it's actually being pushed by government, as they're actually pushing investors to make capital improvements to their property. In turn, they can charge more rent, which then increases the value of the property, and it ends up pushing the market forward and growth in these types of assets. So I like buying slightly tired assets where you can get them well under market. They need 5, 10, 15, 20 grand worth of work to fix up. Once you do that work, you then attract a better tenant, charge more rent. That higher rent gets capitalized on the higher price, draw equity, away you go. So classic example would be, say we buy something for 300,000, it might be historically renting for 350 bucks a week, but if you vacate tenant or have vacant possession on settlement, kick the tenant out, paint, flooring, new AC, put the air vents in, put a new switchboard, rent it out for 450, 460, 470, get your 7-8% rental yield, then go back to the bank. They'll value that asset at a 5% yield, 450 mark, draw equity, refinance into the next deal, ready to go again in the next year. Make it your goal every year, buy property, turn over tenants, freshen them up, rent them out for higher rents, refinance, draw equity, and go again the following year, and do it forever, for the rest of your life. Teach your kids how to do it. There's no reason ever to stop reinvesting and refinancing and building your portfolio, because it'll only set up yourself and your family for generations to come. So back to the VIC rules or the new regulations, I think it's a positive. It's what people should be doing anyway. It's the burst strategy. Buy real estate, renovate the real estate, refinance the real estate, and go again. So that's good. I think it's all positive. Some people say it's a negative, but that's a negative mindset. It's all positive. I'm all for making capital improvements to a property, but being light on, not going over capitalizing, spending 50, 100, 80, 200,000 on a property, because you could save that for multiple deposits for other properties. But I'm all for spending up to 20 grand, 5, 10 grand paint flooring, 5, 10 grand on AC unit, split system, switchboards, maybe rip out a kitchen, whatever. Bathrooms, I do like leaving original bathrooms, because bathrooms are expensive, and the old school bathrooms, especially in the flats, are pretty resilient, so you can get away with paint, get a handyman in to re-grout over the tiles, re-silicone around the tub. Mostly the tubs are cast iron, so they're fucking solid as, they're not going anywhere. Rip out the old vanity, $500-600 for a new vanity, new mirror, put a new shower screen, freshen it up. No one gives a shit about the bathrooms, and if you're going to strip a whole bathroom out, that's going to cost you minimum 25 grand, 30 grand. You might as well save that for a deposit for another deal. But I'm all for spending 5 grand on freshening up a bathroom to put life back into it, because those bathrooms will last probably longer than you would ever hold the property anyway, 20, 30 years. So that's on the VIC rules, new legislation, it's all good, make improvements anyway. But it's quite ironic, I find, is that they're only going to be pushing the values of properties and pushing the market through its next growth cycle. The next thing to talk about today is every property has a specific buyer. So I've only just sort of come to the understanding of this, mainly dealing with real estate agents a lot of the time, is I find that a specific property will always have a specific buyer, and it's about finding the property that the buyer is happy to take on, because every buyer, every person is on a completely different level, from starting from scratch to building out your portfolio to reinvesting into larger deals, getting into commercial property. So everyone's on a different level. There's not one property that suits everyone. Everyone's on a different level. So this is driven by capital. So how much cash you have, how much borrowing capacity you have. Doesn't necessarily mean you should put all your capital into one property. I definitely don't suggest doing that. I know some people push to do that. That's just silly, because you get maxed out with the banks and locked up pretty quick. It's like building a campfire. You start small with the kindling, move on to split wood, move on to logs, and just give your portfolio time to take, just like a campfire. Give it time for the coals and the ambers and the flame to build up, burn down the timber. That's just like the deck getting paid down by the rental income, and slowly load it up. So everyone's got a different amount of capital, everyone's got a different risk profile. So some people are all bullish, guns and blazing, take on risk. I find the people that can take on more risk, and specifically younger people, 18 to 25, more so can't see the risk. Or as you get older, I find older people just have a tendency to think worst case scenario, and that actually holds you back. So risk profile as well will drive to specific results. Skill set. So if you're a corporate person working in office, or if you're a construction or a contracting type of person and you're handy, that will dictate on whether it's a renovator, a slightly tired property, or sometimes people just want a turnkey set and forget. They don't want to do any renovation, so that will determine on the property as well. The stage that you're in, so if you're starting from scratch, you may have lots of borrowing power but not much cash. That'll put you into a smaller property with a higher cash flow, so you can refinance, go again. Or if you've already got a few and you've already got plenty of equity, plenty of cash, and borrowing power is not your issue, they'll give you a wider range, especially if you're looking to build out a property portfolio that you've already got 5 to 6, 7 properties and you're looking to scale up. So everyone's at different levels, different stage. And the buyer's perspective of what is good. I find this fascinating, because some people think buying on a main road is not a good idea. I've bought anything and everything, and I can tell you, the underlying market cycle does 90% of the heavy lifting, and the underlying market cycle doesn't know if the property is on a fucking main road, if there's future investment coming from government. The underlying market cycle is key. 18-year land cycle, study it, get across it. If you can't be bothered, just follow my stuff. But that will do 90% of the heavy lifting by far. But people's perspective, some people don't like it being on a main road, some people don't like it being being the building painted on the facade, some people don't like weatherboard, they want brick, they want regional, they want metro, they want a house because they think units don't perform. It's all fucking bullshit. Everything works well in a well-diversified portfolio, and it comes down to three main factors. Buying real estate for at least half the intrinsic value, at least, if not a third. Strong yield, minimum 5% yield, and we buy between 6 to 8. You can go too high as well if it's out in the boondocks. I don't suggest going out higher than that because there's typically something wrong with it. But within that 6 to 8% is the sweet spot. And market timing based off the 18-year land cycle framework, long-term trends. Having a good balance of both growth and cash flow. So not going and buying blue chip Bondi Beach with growth. Sure, you get growth, but you'll sacrifice on yield. You get yourself locked up with the banks, and then you get stuck at 1 or 2. Don't do that. We like buying in the up-and-coming suburbs that will gentrify in time, the blue-collar working class, within half an hour, 45 minutes of a CBD, the outer ring, or in a large, thriving, booming regional town. So that way you can build your portfolio to be self-sufficient. That will add to your lifestyle. You can draw equity. You have good balance of both growth and cash flow, because you need both. You don't just need growth. You don't just need cash flow. You need both. You need growth to leverage from one deal to the next, but you also need cash flow to stay in the game and allow the banks to keep lending you more money and growing and building. And also finding the up-and-coming suburbs that will gentrify in a short-term period, 10, 15, 20 years, being the likes of Redfern, Surrey Hills, Glebe, Bondi Beach, Rozelle, Balmain. Back in the day, they used to be all rough and tough. These days, they're desirable. So we're looking for the equivalent suburbs where government is selling off public housing, they're building new roads, tunnels, metro lines. That then spurs on private investors and private developers to come buy sites, knock them down, redevelop the areas into beautiful new estates. People start to buy houses, renovate them, become house proud. Bars and restaurants start picking up, and it becomes bougie and desirable. So those types of suburbs that will gentrify in time, in the likes of Melbourne, St Kilda, classic example, in the likes of Brisbane, New Farm. These suburbs have already gentrified. Redfern, Surrey Hills and Sydney, classic examples. So the equivalent of those suburbs 20 years prior. So just like Logan, perfect example is Logan. We're buying Logan 5-6 years ago. I don't suggest buying it now because it doesn't line up with the 18-year land cycle, but Logan is that perfect sweet spot type of area where it'll gentrify in time. Half an hour south of Brisbane, 45 minutes north of the Gold Coast. People will decentralise into Logan as they get priced out of the major metro markets. The topography of the land is good as well. It doesn't flood like North and West Brisbane. It's quite good, so that will also allow future development in time. And future development goes into areas that is lower socioeconomic because it stacks up. The land price needs to be low to allow projects to be feasible and get off the ground. They're not going to go and fucking build in the premium areas where they have to pay a premium. It just doesn't stack. So get in before it becomes bougie, hold it through until it's bougie. And it's not all about being nice and shiny, all that sort of bullshit. So in time, the likes of Logan will look like the likes of Parramatta. Parramatta 20 years ago in Sydney looked like Logan. So that's a tip for y'all. So my job, I find, is to help people, guide them through their specific criteria based off their capital, borrowing power, cash, risk profile, skill set, how active they want to be, if they want to buy something that they can renovate or develop in time. We look at that. and also their perspective of what they think is good to an extent. I am a bit rigid. We have our phase 1, phase 2 portfolio. Phase 1, solid residential foundation based, 10 properties within a 10-year window, a couple of individual units, villas, townhouses, a house or two, duplex block of units. That's your phase 1. If you want to go phase 2, larger blocks of units. So blocks of 5s to 8s, 8s to 10s, 10s to 20s, scaling up slowly in blocks of apartments. It's considered commercial in the bank size, but reality is it's still residential housing. It's the most resilient type of commercial property. You always find a tenant. It's not like warehouses and retail that can go vacant for 2 to 4 years. Even though the commercial property spruikers don't tell you that, they want to keep pushing their business and turning over people through. So buyers beware, this time round we're due. Anyway, I'm starting to rant a bit. So we have the blueprint. If you want the blueprint, get in touch today. Shoot us an email. Shoot Alex an email. She'll get in touch with you. She'll send across the spreadsheet of the deals we've been buying, the numbers, a guide, a roadmap for the years ahead. You can take it, do it yourself, or if you want help working with myself, we can book you in early next year and we can get you going, building that solid property portfolio. Until next time, thanks for watching.